Now we've looked at the clustered bar chart, and next we want to look at the stack bar chart. So we click the new sheet, new worksheet, and then we have this. We can rename it to stack. So we see stacked bar. So now let me mention this. Stack bar chart is appropriate when you have a lot of variables and a lot of categories. So where by the time you represent them with colors as individual bars, it fills up your visual and it becomes somehow clumsy. And that's the reason why you need the stack bar chart. If you look at our data set, for categorization here, for major we have a number of them. But for study mode, we have just two, which is full-time and part-time. So this can go with a clustered bar chart. But if we want to represent major and country, stack bar chart is much better. Why so? Stack bar chart is going to create a more compact visual, fewer bars because a single bar is separated into the different colors. And especially if we're interested in the number of students in a particular major. So we drag major, we can make sure we're seeing our visual here, and then we drag country and we drop encoders. Right, so you can see a matrix is created. Right, so here we can say we want to see the country as the counts. So you can see that a simple bar chart is created. But mind you, we're interested in a stack bar chart. So select this. Now everything is stacked together. Why is this so? Because we need to separate them by saying, okay, country should be the factor. We understand that the major is the color, but then we can say country should be the factor, or we can swap it. The factor should be major and the country will be represented as color. Now, since we already have major here on that color, let's try bringing the country to the column again, and then you can see. So this categorization says is for the country, and then each color is represented as the major, right? Each color represents a major. So each bar represents a country and each color represents a major. For instance, if we want to look at biology, which is this orange, we can just have a general look and see that from this I know that India has more students in biology. It's clear. Although India, based on our data set, is not the most populous. Rather, China is the most populous, which you can see from the bar, longest bar. But in terms of the number of biology students, we can see that they are significantly more than what we have in China. China only has 3 students in biology. Right now, we can swap this logic and say major here and then country should be color. Right, so you can see the same thing. Now we can see that the colors are now the countries. Right, so each color represents a particular country. So and then so it's very dicey, right? But it's also simple. For instance, China seems to have a lot of students in almost every major, right? So you can see the major is here. You can see they seem to have more students in almost every major. You can see the orange color that represents China. And of course, the deep purple color here that represents USA, you can see how it's varied. You can decide to only look at a particular color at a time. That's how it's represented. And you look at it based on the size of the box, right? Look at as a triangle, as a rectangle, and just compare it. So visually, let me say I'm looking at the green color. What would I say about the green color? Fine, the green color is almost in every country, right? So Nigeria now, as a country, which is represented as green here. If I just look at the boxes, I can see that there's somehow average representation across the different majors, right? But of course, biology has fewer Nigerians. You can see it has two, right? So we can also add the count. Hold on the control key, click count, and drop it to label so that it will label it. You can see that we also have the count in our chart, right? So this is when we use a stack bar chart because we have two conditions. Number one, we have a lot of factors, and then we have a lot of categories, right? So if we represent this using a cluster bar chart, let me try a cluster bar chart just to show you why a stack bar chart would be preferable, right? So if we use a cluster bar chart for this, you see that it will have a lot of colors and maybe somewhat difficult to interpret. So it's better we use a stack bar chart, which will just present this thing in a very appropriate way for us and simple to interpret. Right, so of course, just as we did earlier, we drag this and drop on the labels, and then of course we can adjust our axis to make it, visually more appealing. Thank you.